Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, Professor of Physics at Luther College, bringing you the next in our series of what to look for in the night sky. We're talking about the week of June 24th this time around, so we'll transition to July, headed into full summer as we move forward here. It's a week where there's a lot of moon to start and not so much moon to end, so the moon is waning away. That means it rises later at night. And so by the end of the week, we can observe just about anything we want to observe. A lot of moon earlier in the week, but it's rising later at night as a waning moon. So we have options here. We can look at bright objects like planets and bright double stars that are interesting things that hold up to the moonlight. We can wait till the end of the week, or we can observe before midnight, before the moon's had a chance to get up and wash things out too much. So we got a little bit of each for you here. This is one of our times where we try to point out something to observe every night of the week. We've done this a few times in the past. It's been a little while since we've done this. Now, as always, if it's not involving the moon and the planets sliding by each other, you can actually observe these things on any of the nights, just with the caveat that we just had about as the week wears on, there's going to be less moon if there's something faint that you want to observe. So let's stop rambling about that and get right into it and start on the evening of the 24th, 25th. So we're talking about the morning of the 25th here. Let's start with Jupiter. Jupiter is rising into the sky right now, and it's about 8 1/3 degrees southeast of the Pleiades. This star cluster that we think of as a nice wintertime. Here we are headed into summer. We just talked about it. A nice wintertime open star cluster in Taurus. The Pleiades actually rises about 3 o'clock in the morning right now. So you've got a chance to see this really well. I mean, it's up well before the sun. And so if you're looking to the east, you can see the Pleiades. And about 4 o'clock, Jupiter should be up high enough to observe, and we probably, wherever you are, it depends, the timing depends a little bit. You probably don't have too much sunlight yet to wash this out. You can find Jupiter as the bright dot rising against the eastern horizon and move up 8 degrees from there and see if you can find the Pleiades, either with your naked eye or with a pair of binoculars. The next night, the 25th into the 26th, the moon's about 75% full. So this is our waning moon we're talking about. It rises somewhere in the neighborhood of 11:30 for you. So you get out and observe before that. We're talking about maybe 10 o'clock right now would be a great time to do this. So we take the Big Dipper, and we like to see, you got these pointer stars in the Big Dipper that point to the North Star Polaris. There's your bowl of the Big Dipper, and then you have the handle, and we say the handle arcs. You follow the curve of the handle to the bright star Arcturus, and then you go 33 degrees, about 3 fist widths or a little bit more at arm's length down to the bright star Spica in Virgo. We've looked at Spica quite a bit recently. So let's just practice that. If you haven't done that before, you can practice that tonight, is to follow the curve of the handle of the Big Dipper to Arcturus and then Spica. These are the brightest stars you're going to come across in that direction, so not much confusing them, I don't think. You go half that distance again, and you've got a nice little quadrilateral of stars that's Corvus. And I've talked about Corvus once in a while because, for me, there are no other stars in this region of the sky that are nearly as bright, and so Corvus pops. But it's going to be right on the southwestern horizon right now. So spin on down to Spica from Arcturus, go half that distance again, and just off to the right of that line, off to the west of that line that goes Arcturus to Spica on through down here, you'll find the quadrilateral of Corvus. And just off the southeast corner of Corvus is a globular star cluster, M68. Get your telescope out, get your binoculars out, but you got to do this fast. You got to do this. It stays late right now for those of us in the northern hemisphere, and so you got to get this in as soon as it's dark enough to observe this before it sets in the west. Now the next night, the 26th into the 27th, the moon will be near Saturn. The moon's about 2/3 full. It's gone from about 3/4 full to 2/3 full in one night here, and it'll be sliding past Saturn, and this region of the sky is going to rise somewhere around midnight for you. So around midnight on the 26th into the 27th, enjoy a nice 2/3 full moon sitting near the bright planet Saturn that looks like a star there next to it. 27th into 28th, back over here. Let's go back to Arcturus and spin on down to Spica. Arcturus, about 12 degrees to the northwest of Arcturus is a bright globular star cluster, M3. I'm guessing you can see that with binoculars. Give that a try. About 15 degrees to the southwest of Arcturus is M53, another globular cluster you also might be able to see with binoculars. I don't think it's as bright. For me, it doesn't seem as bright as M3 when I look at it. A telescope, you can poke around this region and look for telescopes. So you've got 3 globular clusters we can observe trying to follow the arc of the handle of the Big Dipper to Arcturus and then down to Spica. So that's what we've got back over here on the 27th into the 28th. 28th into the 29th. This is a good night for us to observe the summer triangle. I should point out, from one night to the next night, the drawings that I've done here to make them fit on the board, they're not at all to scale. So we're resetting the scale each time, each little sketch that we have. We have our summer triangle right here. That's Vega, Deneb, and Altair. Vega crosses the meridian, that north-south line that's directly overhead, at about 1 a.m. local time. That depends on where you are and if you're actually not observing on this night or whatever. But find the summer triangle and say, yeah, we're at summer now. This is high in the sky as it's good and dark in the middle of the night. Vega is part of the constellation Lyra, and Lyra is this quadrilateral of stars that sits below Vega. We'll redraw that there a little bit. And in the bottom 2 stars, so I don't like what I drew right there at all. But in the bottom 2 stars of this quadrilateral, about 1/3 of the way, right on the line that connects those bottom 2 stars, 1/3 of the way down from the top star to the bottom star is the planetary nebula M57. Best example of a planetary nebula we have in our northern sky right here. Beautiful. It's the Ring Nebula. It's a beautiful, beautiful nebula. If you take your time with your telescope and you find that, you won't be disappointed. A little glowing donut of light that you can see right there from this star that has a white dwarf star in its core, and its envelope, its outer layers, it's expanded out into space and is dispersing. All low mass stars do that. The sun will do that. This is a perfect example of one of these in the northern sky. Just beautiful. The next night, 29th into the 30th, again, this region rises. This region's up in the sky when it gets dark, crossing the meridian at 1 in the morning or so. So it's up all night, basically, for us to observe. But right in the middle, right in the heart of the summer triangle, is the star Albireo. And Albireo is part of Cygnus, where Deneb is. We think of it as the Northern Cross sometimes. And so we see this. That's going to be the head of the swan right there, is Albireo. For my money, it's the best double star in the sky. A blue star and a gold star. Any small telescope should be able to pull those apart. It's a bright enough star. You can see it as the dot in the middle of the summer triangle. So you don't have to go poking around looking for a star that you can't see with your naked eye. So you can pluck that right out of there. I love Albireo. I'm going to recommend that to you on the night of the 29th and the 30th. And then the 30th into the 1st, the last night of the week that we're looking at here, we're back to the morning of the 1st, a region of the sky that rises somewhere around 2:30 in the morning. The moon will have waned away down to it's less than a quarter full right now. Having started more than 3/4 full, it's now less than a quarter full, and it'll be sliding past Mars in the morning sky. So you'll see Mars as a nice bright red dot below the moon, and still a little bit east of the moon on this night. But they'll make a nice pairing. So you got the moon making a nice pairing with Mars after it's made a nice pairing with Saturn right there. And other things you can observe as the week goes on. Should be a good week for observing. As always, everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll have something new for you next week.